it's Kylie and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to go over my 2022 temperature blanket. It is very big. I'm going to try to show y'all. It's hard to get the whole thing in a shot because it's huge. It is approximately 54 inches by 72 inches. So if you're wondering maybe what a temperature blanket is, a temperature blanket simply is a blanket that you crochet one row on every day for an entire year. A lot of people generally do them from January to December, but I know people have done them before to mark certain times of the year, maybe the date that their first child was born and doing it through to their first birthday. And I've also seen some people do like 6-month blankets, but typically they're a year-long project. And a lot of patterns I've seen are generally big blankets that are crocheted in rows. I decided to do this one and take it and do squares. So there's one for each month, and then attach the squares at the end of the year. So it makes for a pretty good sized blanket, but it's also easier to me to do this doing the squares as opposed to a big blanket because it's easier to take with me and work like in the car or on the go. It's also, I like it in the summertime. I'm not working on a humongous blanket. In the summertime, in my lap, I'm working on just a little square. I live in Oklahoma, so you can tell the summer months were very hot with all the red and orange. So if you're looking for temperature charts or color charts, I have a bunch of free downloadable PDFs on my website. I have over, I think there's 13 different temperature charts that I made and have available for download, and they have both Celsius and Fahrenheit on them. So that's a win-win for everybody. And then I have I think there's 7 color charts. I have rainbow colors, I have blue tones, I have neutral tones, I have all different colors of color charts available. I did for mine, I think I used temperature chart number 13. This one says 12, but this isn't the one I used. I used 13, and then on the color chart, I used number 2 for this blanket. But I pushed my orange down to the end because I somehow, when I ordered yarn last year, didn't order orange yarn. I ordered all the colors and somehow forgot the orange. So when I got to it, I didn't have it. Instead of ordering it, waiting for it, I just pushed it to the end and pushed the other colors back. So I'll be showing y'all everything from how to make each square, to joining them, to doing my border, how I done each of this step by step. And it's a really fun project that I hope y'all will make for 2023. And but before we go any farther in this video, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you never miss any free crochet patterns or other crochet projects and ideas. And we'll get right into it, and I'm going to go over some of the yarn and the materials that you'll need to make this blanket. Okay, so the yarn I used specifically for this blanket is Brava worsted weight yarn from OkieGirlBling'n'Things. I found this yarn works up very well, it lasts, it holds up very well, it's soft, and it's perfect for a project like this because it's a little bit more on the inexpensive side as opposed to some yarns, but it holds up very well. I've been using this type of yarn for well over a year, and I've really liked it. You see here, for a list of all the colors, you can reference one of the color charts from my blog, and I'll make sure I put all those links below so you can go find the temperature and color chart. So a very common question that I see people ask is, how much yarn do I need to buy for my temperature blanket? This is sometimes a very hard question to answer because it depends on the weather. You know, we're basing each row and each color off the temperature, and that's a very unpredictable thing. I would recommend starting with at least 2 skeins of each color. If you could, grab 3. I don't think I used more than 3 skeins of any color, even through the hotter months, on my blanket, and the majority of some of my months were the hotter colors like my red and my orange, but I still didn't go through, I'm pretty sure I didn't go through more than 3 skeins of those colors even yet. So if you could, grab 3 of each color, but I would at least start with 2 of each color. And for my border color, I done 5 skeins. I think it took me about 4.5 skeins for the total to border every square and to go around the whole entire blanket a few times. So I'd say 5 for that. And the yardage on these skeins are 218 yards. So that's something to consider too. If you get yarn that comes in a bigger skein, you would need less. So it depends on what brand of yarn you're going to be using. And all the other supplies you will need a 8 or 5mm crochet hook. You'll need a yarn needle and a pair of scissors. And that's basically all you will need to crochet a temperature blanket. So next I will go ahead and show y'all how to make each square. Okay, so to make each square, we're going to start with a slip knot on our crochet hook. And I'm going to start the first round by chain 2. And then I'm going to work all my stitches into this very first chain or the second chain stitch from my hook. So I'm going to work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and chain 1, and then we'll repeat that 3 times. I'm going to single crochet, chain 2, that makes our corner, place another single crochet, and chain 1. And I'm going to do that now 2 more times. And we're all working all these stitches into that very first chain stitch. So I'm going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1. I'll need to do that one more time. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1, and you will slip stitch into that very first single crochet of the round. So you should, after round 1, you should have 4 chain 2 corners. So it should look like a little square. Looks like a square. And if you were going, this will be the first row, so you do 1 row for every day of the month. And then I'll explain later how we do the border and how you even all the months out. So that's what it looks like after round 1. So that would be like day 1 of your first month. If you need to, you could switch colors now. I'm going to go ahead with the same color just for purposes, just to show y'all. So if you need to, switch colors. But going on to round 2, we will chain 1. We are going to work in this chain 2 space. We're going to place a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet in this corner. Chain 2 and single crochet. We're going to chain 1. And then that chain 1 space, the first round 2 is a little bit, is the hardest to see. After you get past that, it'll be real easy. You're going to find chain 1 space and place a single crochet in it. And a chain 1. And then you're already back to a corner. We're just going to repeat what we just done around 3 more times. So we're going to work this next corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet, chain 1, find our next chain 1 space and make a single crochet into it, chain 1, then we're back at the corner. We're going to work the corner like always, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. We'll chain 1, find our chain 1 space and single crochet into it, chain 1. We're at our next corner. We're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and chain 1. Then you'll find your next chain 1 space, work a single crochet, chain 1, and we're at the beginning. So we will slip stitch into that very first single crochet, and that's what it looked like after round 2. So it's starting to even look more like a little square. So I'm fixing to show y'all round 3, and the whole rest of the square is made of a repeat of round 3. So it's already pretty much following the same pattern. You probably could figure out round 3 by now almost on your own, but I will go ahead and show y'all. We will chain 1, and then we're going to start in our corner. We're going to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in that corner, and chain 1. And then we're going to place a single crochet in a chain 1 space, chain 1, and repeat that across until you get to your next corner. So it's chain 1 space, and we'll single crochet, chain 1, single crochet the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and we're met to our corner, and we're going to work it like we do all corners. We're going to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And I'm just going to repeat that process all the way around. so I have single crochet in the very last chain 1 space, chained 1, and now you'll slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round, and that is round 3. So now you will repeat round 3 for every row. And I'll explain the border rows because you may be thinking, well, some months have 31 rows, some months have 30 rows or rounds. What we're going to do is we're simply going to make up with it with the border color. So if this month has 31 rounds, I will then do each square. I'm going to have 34 rounds total. So if you have 31 rounds for this month, I will then do 3 rounds of border color. If you have a month that has 30 rounds, you will do 4 rows of border color. And for February, it has 28 rounds. I done 6 rows of border color. So then you can go ahead, after you finish that month's square, you can go ahead and do your border color then, or come back to it and do it later. I done mine toward the end of the year because I wasn't quite sure what color I wanted to border it with. So you can either do it as you finish or at the end of the year. And I would highly recommend, as you change colors in each square, to kind of, even if it's after you finish the square, to go ahead and weave in your ends. It makes it a lot easier at the end. I weaved in my ends for all my squares but the very last 2, and it helped me tremendously at the very end, so I didn't have 1,000 ends to weave in. I would totally recommend that. So yeah, so once you get all your squares made, I am now going to go ahead and jump ahead, and I'm going to show you how I connect all my squares. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We get to join all our squares. This may be easier for you to lay them all out on the floor. If that makes it easier, I'm actually joining mine on a table, so I keep like adding a square at a time. But how I'm joining mine is I am joining them in rows of 3 by 4. So I have January, February, March, another row April, May, June, another row July, August, September, and the last row is October, November, December. And what I'm doing is I'm going through and joining them long ways. So like I'm going down, starting doing the rows of 4 first, which it doesn't matter which way you start. That's just I'm joining my long rows first. So I've already joined along one side, and I'm going to join this next side. So this is February's square. This is May's square. So I now need to attach, and I will have more of a diagram in the blog post if you want to look at that. That may be easier than me trying to explain it. But I'm now going to join March's square to February's. So I'm going to scoot this down a little bit. I haven't joined this side yet, but they are joined. Let me show you. I've joined them across this way down a row already. So you can see right there the join. It's just real pretty. It's basically just a slip stitch in the back loops only. And I do it from the back. So this is the right side facing up. So if you want to lay them all out on the floor, you might want to lay them with the wrong side facing up, just for sake of that. So I'm going to move this around. And so this is the right side facing, and I'm going to lay my March square with the right side facing down. So the right sides are going to face each other. So I'm going to face the right sides together with the wrong side facing up. Just going to line it up here. Scoot it down so y'all can see. So I've just made a slip knot and put it on my hook, and you're basically just going to line up your corner down here. We're going to start in and this one might be a little bit hard to see because this is where this row ended here where I joined. But you're basically going to start in the chain 2 corner, but you're not going to start on the single crochet. You're going to start in the chain stitch before. So not both chain stitch. I'm just going to start in that chain stitch in front of the single crochet. So that stitch right there. And what you're going to do is I slip stitch, but I only go in the back loop of each stitch. And I will try to zoom in just a little bit, make sure I can see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to do, and like I said, this is the spot where I joined, so it may be a little bit hard to see right here. But I'm going to go in the back loop only. And then I'm going to go into the same stitch on the one across and go in there's the front loop, there's the back loop only. And slip stitch, and then I'm going to go into the next. There's the single crochet, back loop only, find the single crochet across, back loop only, and slip stitch. And you're just going to repeat that all the way across. I'm going to do the next one's a single crochet, which you could go through both, you go under both loops, but I like the look of just doing the back loop itself. So I'm going to do back loop, and then the next one, back loop only. And then you're just going to continue that all the way down. So there's the single crochet, back loop, back loop, back loop, back loop. You just kind of make sure when you're going down that you're doing a single crochet stitch in the single crochet across, and then when you get to the chain stitch, you're doing a chain stitch and the chain stitch across, and that makes sure that you don't skip any, because sometimes it's easy to skip these chain stitch ones because they seem a little bit smaller. But I'm just going to grab the back loops of both and work that all the way down. And you'll just repeat that, and I'll show you when I get down here to a corner how I add another square at the corner and how to do that. And you'll do that all the way down, both sections of the 4 rows, and then you'll go back across and do it the other way. So it's really easy. So I'm going to work myself and work my way down, and when I get down the corner, I'll go across the corner and show you how I do that. Okay, so I'm almost to the corner here where we're going to go across this row, and I think I just like the single crochet, and then we'll be in that chain 2 corner. So I'm going to do the single crochet, that back loop, and that back loop, and slip stitch. And then there is chain 2 corner, so I'm going to go through the first chain of the chain 2 corner and go in the back loops only, slip stitch, and then I'm going to go over here. I've grabbed my other 2 squares, line the corner up, and we're going to work into the, you're going from this way, it'll be the second chain stitch, so you're going to skip that first chain stitch and the second one and go on the back loops of it and across, because you'll hit that first one when you go back and go this way and connect them. So I'm going to grab the back loop of that one, and so it's the second one. So there's 1, there's 2, it's going to be the second one. Grab the back loop of that one and slip stitch. Split this up a little bit. And then you're going to carry on the same manner we've been doing. So you'll find there's a single crochet, back loop, jump across, single crochet, back loop, slip stitch, and then next is a chain stitch. Back loops only, and you're going to just repeat that all the way across. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, work this down, continuing to attach all my squares this way, and I'll meet back up with y'all when I go back over and go the other direction, and you have to cross this piece here where we've already went over it. We have to cross this. I'll come back and meet y'all up when I come back across so I can show you exactly how I go over that and make it nice and neat. Okay, so now I've made it almost back to a section where we're crossing over one of our previous joins, and I'm going to show you how I go over this join. So I've got a couple more right here to do before I get to it that I'm going to go ahead and do. Remember that we're going in the back loops only and slip stitching, and then I have one more. This chain stitch here. I'm going to slip stitch those. And then when we go over the join, I just go under the join and slip stitch just under it like that. And then start the next chain stitch of the next square in the back loops only and continue working across like so. So that's how I go across the joins, and I'm going to go ahead and finish join all my sections of my squares, and I will meet up with y'all with the border and show y'all how I do the border. Okay, so I've attached all my squares in all the directions, and they're attached all that they need to be. The only thing I like now is I like weaving in my ends on some of my squares and a border. So I'm just going to use the white here for my border. I'm going to add 4 rows of border, and I'm just going to go back and do moss stitch around the border. That to me just be the easiest thing. You could go back and do different colors if you wanted to like stripe some of the different colors in it, but I'm just going to do 4 rows of white. And you're basically going to work it the same way that you worked the squares. I'm going to start here in a corner and work around, and I'll show you how you go across where the squares join at like the end right there. I'm going to show you how I go across those spots. But so I have made a slip knot, put it on my hook, and I'm going to just find any other corners. You can start any corner. And I am going to make a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet in that corner, and then chain 1 and just work the moss stitch across. So I'm going to work down to, let's see if I can get it over here. I'm going to work down, moss stitch all the way across, and I'll show you how I go across this section right here. So you're just going to work your chain 1, single crochet in the chain 1 spot, chain 1, single crochet in the chain 1 spot. So we're just doing like a moss stitch border. And I'm going to work it down, and when I get down here, I will show you how I go across that section. Okay, so I've made it here to one of the seams where we joined, and this is what was the chain 2 corner, but we joined it on one single crochet. So this spot where the corner was, I'm going to work a single crochet. I'm going to chain 1. I am then going to place another single crochet in this join. So just on the end here, you can just find a spot and insert your hook. Doesn't have to be perfect. And make a single crochet, chain 1, and then the next spot where there was a corner on the next square, I'm gonna work another single crochet, chain 1, and then you'll just continue in your moss stitch all the way down. And you'll just do that. And I'm just going to repeat that all the way around this whole section. And when you reach a corner, you will single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in each corner and continue the moss stitch. And then when you get back to your corner, you'll slip stitch in that corner. And so it's basically going to be a repeat of round 3. And when I finish the first round and get back to this corner, I will show you how I end and start the next round of border stitch, just to make sure y'all understand that. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around. Okay, so now I've made it all the way back around to my very last single crochet in my chain 1 space before the corner. And to finish this off, I'll make sure I chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet of that corner, and that is 1 row of the border. I'm going to do 4 rows total for my border. So to continue, you will just chain 1, work your corner like you always would with a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and you're going to work around basically like round 3 on of each square. So I'm going to finish and do 4 rows of border color, or just 4 rows of border, and then I'm going to weave in all my ends and my blanket will be finished. So that is how you make a temperature blanket. If you have any questions, be sure to drop me a comment. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. Happy crocheting!